All righty. Looks like we have just started right on time. For those that are early and or now on time, we're gonna just keep you guys holding for around a minute or two. We've got actually our highest registration yet to date on this webinar. So I want to give people a little bit extra time to join us. As always, if you have joined this webinar before, this is being recorded, but you guys do have the ability to ask questions in the Q&A or chat with us. Please leverage this throughout the presentation. During this conversation with myself and Johnny, we're going to be monitoring the Q&A. Please leverage that for any clarifications or questions that you guys may have. If we can answer it via chat, we'll do so. But if obviously it's a conversation thing, we're going to talk about it throughout the presentation or potentially save it during the end. But sit tight. We're going to get started in just around a minute or two. Johnny, do they have as bad allergies in Tel Aviv as we do here in New York City?
Oh wow, it's terrible.
Because,
It's,
oh
it's
my goodness, I wake up every single morning with just a head full of allergies, and it is brutal.
it is not fun. I was up north over the weekend with my family. Very nice, very green, very naturey, and very allergic. I think I crashed early on the next work day, but worth the price.
I know. I bring that up just so our audience can doesn't think I got like a voice change, but I think I even hear myself as a totally different person with the amount of nasally congestion I have right now with the allergies that are happening. But we'll see how that goes for the next week or two.
You still
Also,
understand?
Johnny, do you guys do bring your kid to work day in Tel Aviv? Is that an international thing?
Uh, Ideally, I think it should be. I think in practice, because there is such a lack of sync between the work calendar and children's school holidays, is that most holidays are bring your kid to work day. So we have that
Most holidays.
we have that in Hanukkah, we have
If
that in
school's
Passover, we
closed,
have it. Exactly.
you got
There's
to
no
bring
school
something for
today.
your kid.
Bring your kids, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, we just did that last week actually with the team here in New Jersey, New York City, and it was awesome. I didn't realize how fun of an office we actually have here until I saw kids using our basketball net, our video games, coloring, playing with the speakers and the cool chairs we have. Like everyone actually had a really good time, and now I'm like, wow, we actually do have fun stuff here in the office. I'll probably check it out after this webinar.
I saw pictures. It looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Looks like we're just around 2 minutes in. We got a lot of folks that have joined us, so I don't want to keep anyone else waiting. Let's jump right into this. For those that joined in the last couple minutes, and maybe this is your first webinar, first off, thank you for joining us today. This is my favorite webinar that we do, as you guys all know who have joined us, because we're going to be talking about what is new in Xyte and what is coming over the next 6 months. As a reminder, this is being recorded. Your video and mics are off, but you do have the ability to interact with myself and with Johnny via the Q&A. So please click that, ask questions throughout the entire conversation. I'll do my best to monitor it and talk about it during the slide that we're going through. Worst case, we'll get it in the Q&A or we will type you out an answer. But with that, let's get right into what's new and what's next from Xyte. For those that don't know, I am Andrew Gross. I lead our global go-to-market efforts here at Xyte. And with me today, joining me on stage is Johnny. Johnny, can you introduce yourself quickly to the audience?
Sure. Johnny Bhonker, Director of Product at Xyte, working out of our Tel Aviv office, closely collaborating with Andrew and the team to deliver all the really, really cool features that we're about to talk about. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you, Johnny. So let's actually jump right into it. Usually I kind of kick these off with a sort of market update, but honestly, between the ISE and Infocom timeframe, there's so much going on that I just want to dive right into the products because we released some stuff during ISE, if you were able to join us in Barcelona, and obviously now we're in a full-out sprint to Infocom, which is crazy enough, less than 2 months away. And that's really what we're going to be focusing on today. And so we kind of broke this up into two sections, as usual. We're going to focus first on what is available now. Literally, we drop this webinar, you log into the portal or call an AE and say you want to be able to get access to Xyte. This is what you're going to see. So we're going to talk about what's been improved within the platform. So the focus here is around room management and customer management, and of course, device management. We're going to talk about how we're able to save you time with a lot of the features. So these are things, anything from scheduling and automation to, of course, our advancements in AI, which we're going to spend a lot of time talking about on now and next. And then when we get to the next section, this is going to be really kind of like our pre-Infocom conversation. We're going to be doing everything we can to showcase everything you see in the next section in InfoComm in Vegas come June. But obviously, we are working on a ton of things. This is going to constantly change from now until that June timeframe. But we're going to do a big focus on more AI, what's happening, not just on the front end, but actually on the back end, AKA what models are we leveraging? How is it gathering data? How is it responding better to you? And then, of course, we're going to end with a little bit of what to engage with Xyte moving forward after this webinar. We got a lot of events over the course of the next, kind of 45 days leading into InfoComm. So we're going to give you a quick snapshot of what those events are so you can sign up and keep tabs on Xyte from now until Vegas. So with that, Johnny, I want to jump right into what is available today within the platform. And let's start off with the customer dashboard, which is something that we soft launched in Barcelona. But for those that maybe weren't at ISC, why don't you tell a little bit of the audience about what this new customer dashboard is all about?
Absolutely. So the purpose of this dashboard is for an MSP specifically. You're probably managing more than one customer at Xyte, and you want to come in the morning and understand what's happening across my customers. Are there customers who are doing better, doing worse, that need more attention? Do we have rooms that are down? This is moving away from the device level focus into the room level focus that we'll see a couple more features on in just a couple minutes. But this gives you a customer by customer breakdown of how are their rooms doing. You can
Yeah.
see also at the top, and per customer, we also see are there different connectors, the cloud connections that you may have, or the edges that they have, are those online? Do those need attention? It kind of gives you a bird's eye view of where should I start one morning.
So a couple key things I've loved with this new update. One is I always call this like, this is now what I go to first in the morning, right? From an MSP standpoint, I start here. It's 8 o'clock. I'm logging into my knock dashboard. I want a view of all my customers. I want to see which rooms are healthy or unhealthy. And what was cool is we added that new VIP feature. So you could actually mark now a specific room as VIP. Maybe it's like the CEO's personal boardroom. You want to be alerted very specifically if that room has got an issue. And so we added that to this overview tenant customer dashboard. And then lastly, as of course they'll see throughout the platform, right, Johnny, is we've added AI tools into this view as well, helping summarize what's going across my entire customer estate. So this is great from a high level, right? We're starting high, seeing all my customers. But then if I actually click in to one of those customers, let's talk a little bit about how we've completely revamped our room dashboard to give more data and better action to not just the service providers, but the customers themselves.
Exactly. So this is kind of where it splits into two. If you click in from that MSP dashboard, or if you are a end user who's managing your own estate, what you're probably going to come into every day is not a list of customers, but rather a list of rooms with your VIP rooms surfaced to the top. That's what you can see on the bottom screenshot, showing you room by room, what's the status? How is it doing? Are there problems with the room? Is it healthy? Is there a warning? Or possibly is it under maintenance or is it empty? Each one of these can be expanded to show you what incidents are affecting the room, something we can't show interactively, but if you see the little chevron on the left, you can expand that to see what incidents you have. And if you click on any of these rooms, you will drill down into the room dashboard that you see on top, also an an ISC soft launch that we've GA'd recently. And you can see in a much more concise way, what type of room is it? What's the status? Which devices are in it? Which ones have an incident? Where is it located? What's configured? Does it have an automated incident delay? Is it in maintenance mode? Things of the sort. And of course, the cherry on top is the AI summary, also giving you an understanding what's actually happening in this room, what needs my attention first.
Yeah, this release was focused on usability. Even internally, I always kind of relate this to like iPhone versus Android. I know you don't agree with this, Johnny, but here in the US, the iPhone is king, right? And it's not because it has all of these incredible, never-ending features. It's because it's the most usable, right? I can actually log in and do things a lot easier than anything else. And I look a lot of that here where we're doing everything we can continually to make our platform usable. I don't necessarily care as much, let's say, as maybe the more technical user about these very nitty-gritty details, which we will get to as well. But I care a lot about the usability. I want to be able to log in, find things, identify issues, support my customer through the world's only managed service platform. And these updates have really allowed me to do that. I want to be engaged in the platform because I can see things and do things faster and better. That's the main focus with this rooms dashboard and customer dashboard. So that's like the high level. What am I seeing? But of course, we do have the behind the scenes, and we do want to make the technical support and integrations about how we make that easier. So let's talk a little bit, Johnny. We've had this before. This is actually already, it was live in the platform a while ago about adding credentials.
Yep.
But as you and I have both seen, and our customers have always been asking us, is hey, it's great that we can do it one off, but we need to do this for more than just one device at a time. So how have we supported usability for our customers in larger installs?
Yeah, so what we're hearing a lot from customers is that they're saying, I often have a single username, password, or credential combination across all of my devices from this model. I don't want to go one by one and add them. So we just added the option to check them all, add credentials, and add the same credentials across multiple devices. If they use the same kind of credential requirements, say username, password, or the port, they don't even have to be the same model. And best of all, instead of having to look for them one by one or trying to understand, do they all sit within the same room? Maybe they're across multiple rooms, maybe even across multiple customers. You can just filter for any device that requires credentials coming soon, and bulk add those credentials all at once. So you come in, you add it to your 50 devices across 3 different buildings or 6 different customers, and you're done within 30 seconds.
Yeah, and this is the majority use case, right? No one just has one NVX that they need to add credentials to. You're going to always have more than one.
Yep.
So again, usability. And just as a reminder for those that are on the call, maybe aren't as experienced with the platform yet, this bulk mentality is coming true through the entire platform, not just adding credentials. This is true for device claiming, as we talked about, and many, many other things that you can do, even checking firmware, sending commands. And as you'll see in the next slide, even with workflows and scheduling of specific commands. So Johnny, why don't you tell us more about also this, not just individual workflow, but bulk workflow?
Yeah, so I'm seconding everything you're saying. We definitely have a bulk mentality because we understand that our customers usually don't do these one by one, but rather want to be doing many things at once and stand up rooms and installations much quicker. What we've added here is the option to create workflows based on any device with a command, either an individual device, or if you have multiple devices where you want to run the same workflow for, it could be a weekly update for firmware, it could be a nightly cycle, it could be changing the input back to defaults at the end of the day. You can set up those workflows from any device, or you can add them from the workflow screen. You get statuses for these workflows to come in the morning and see, did my workflows run? If they didn't run, what could the problem have been? Do they seem to be across the same models, the same rooms? Kind of try to triage that issue at the start of your day. And we've recently added the option to also do a scheduled once command. So we've been focusing initially on the recurring workflows, but then maybe you have something that you want to do every now and again, or when you know that you have a holiday, so that's when you run all the firmware upgrades. So you're also able to schedule those again in bulk or in singular, a once command scheduled up to 3 months in the future.
Yeah, the once thing, it was forgotten about in my mind personally, because we're always like, yeah, we want to reboot every morning or we want to shut off the displays every weekend. But of course, you don't want to just constantly resend firmware upgrades. I want to schedule the firmware upgrade down for the future. So awesome feature there with the firmware there to schedule one time. Okay, so Johnny, this was awesome from a usability and even a UI standpoint, right? But as we all know, you and I specifically in the audience here, none of this can be done unless your foundation, your base is strong. And in our point of view, and especially when it comes to rooms management and monitoring in the AV/IT space, that base is actual connection to devices, right? This is
Yep.
all cool. You could have the greatest AI, the greatest workflow, the greatest anything. It means nothing unless you connect into the device itself and not just on off status. So, why don't you walk us through, Johnny, a little bit about the new cloud connectors, the new drivers, and the advancement of even existing drivers to give better functionality to our customers today?
Yeah, wholly agreed. The data is king, right? We're nothing without our data, all the platform built on top of it, the AI, the UI, the bulk actions, none of that matters if the data isn't solid behind it. So we've been really busy, both on adding new cloud connectors and integrating with the cloud platforms that our customers are working with, and adding additional drivers and enhancing existing drivers based on customer feedback. You can see the long list on the left of cloud connectors that we've added. We've rewritten our QSys Reflect integration. We've recently added App Space, and we already have multiple customers in it on the beta, pulling those devices in. Cisco Control Hub, PolyLens, very popular requests that we've been hearing for a long, long time and have gotten around to developing and adding. I think we've even already done an upgrade to the Cisco with additional data a few months ago. And in close collaboration with the fine folk at Shure, we are working on an integration with their soon-to-be launched cloud for Infocom. On the vendor side, or sorry, on the edge side, we've added a few additional vendors. You can see the logos here. So drivers for Clock Audio, Gude, KiloView, Samsung, and Barco. Um, these requests are very heavily driven by current customers and prospects. We want to be prioritizing drivers based on what is most popular and what is most requested by our user base. So you can see a few of the examples here. So we've got the QSys Core series, Cisco Room Kits, to Zero Forte series, Crestron 4 series, which we've both developed and recently added commands for, including reboot. And then we've also gotten feedback on devices that customers have been looking to um, better support, or sorry, had specific requests that we didn't have in the initial release. So things like, again, BIAM devices, a few Cisco devices, Panasonic and Crestron, we've added additional features to those, all based on customer feedback.
Yeah, this may be the boring part, right? Because it's not, it doesn't have AI in front of it. But again, as we talked about, this is the most important. This is by far the largest library of connections and methods to connect of any platform in the industry. As a reminder, maybe for those that are somewhat newer to the Xyte platform and joining this kind of what's now, what's next for the first time, Xyte's unique in the fact that we give you options to connect to your equipment. That may be this item on the left with cloud-to-cloud connections. And as you can see, we have launched a ton just in the last quarter as these vendors continue to come out with their specific cloud. So you have that option to bring in that data that way. But in addition to that, we also have the edge, which we're going to talk about very shortly, which is where we load all these drivers and open API communications to. But it's not just communication of on-off, as Johnny went through. This is full management, full control. If the API offers it, we're able to give it to you. And so just in the last couple months, we've offered reboot. I think Johnny mentioned with the 4 series from Crestron, program reset. I've even seen, and I know you guys are working on with like the Netgear switches. We have restart with the switch. I know we're working on PoE, individual port reboots. I mean, this is a lot of work going on. We've got an entire team, an army working on building out these libraries. So the one thing I will mention before we move on to the next slide is to the audience is this priority list. This isn't made in a vacuum. This is made from you. So be vocal, communicate with us. Let us know what projects you're working on, what equipment and models and controls that you're looking for as an end user or as an MSP for your installed base so that we can adjust our priority list. So please be vocal. It's the only way that we can deliver to you guys this ever expanding library of connections, which then gives you all of the amazing features that we've been talking about. Now, we talk about these connections, but let's actually talk about the how, the medium to deliver this library, the medium to deliver these drivers and these updates. And at ISC, where we launched in pre-release, was this brand new Xyte Secure Edge, really our first hardware gateway that comes with what I call Connect Plus in a box, right? This is Xyte in a box, pretty much, if you're buying it. So, Johnny, why don't you tell us a little bit about this device, and then I'll close it out with kind of the commercials.
Great. So Secure Edge essentially, as you said, is our own edge system living within a box, ready to just plug and play. You put it up in your office. You don't have to manage any Docker containers or any messy configurations. You plug it in, you generate a number, you plug it into Xyte, and you start adding your devices.
Yeah, and it really is that easy. And I think that's the key thing here is one, I want to make sure this is clear. This is optional. You don't have to procure the Xyte Secure Edge hardware from Xyte. You can load the Xyte software and all of our drivers on your own VM or on your own appliance. This is simply a one-stop shop for customers that want to be able to purchase something, throw it in their environment, know it's enterprise secure, and have everything ready to go pre-installed when they get the device. Quick note, the MSRP on this device is $1,900. It is a very highly enterprise secure system. Obviously, you guys can procure your own appliance or spin up your own VM on your own. And to keep note as well is the device itself supports up to 1,000 devices communicating to it as that central port through your firewall back out through Xyte. And we will throw in one of these edges for every 500 premium licenses you purchase from Xyte. So for every 500 device licenses that you have connected into our platform, you get an Xyte Secure Edge as part of that purchase. So great, easy way to get started with Xyte with a Xyte built appliance out of the box. All right, Johnny. I think this was great to talk about usability and great to talk about connections, but I know the audience is thinking and asking, well, what are you guys doing about AI? I mean, it's literally in the background. It says Xyte AI. What's going on with AI? So why don't we talk a little bit about what is live today with Xyte's AI teammate?
Awesome. So Xyte's AI Teammate is really meant to be kind of a assistant to help you manage your devices better in the same way that I, as a product manager, can do more work because I use AI to query the code base or do customer research, things that I could do myself but would take me much more time and much with much greater effort. AI Teammate is meant to do the same for you managing your AV fleet. So from reading the manuals that come with devices plus our own documentation. Um, Understanding when you're talking to it that it's looking at a specific room or a specific building and being able to understand which devices are there, which incidents are there, which connectors are offline, which integrations may be dysfunctional. Um, Deep linking you into entities if you want to get some information about a device, it'll not only bring up that information, but it will take you to that device. That is the teammate in a nutshell. What we've done in addition is kind of taken embedded AI insights and added them in many different places, as you've seen in previous slides, in the rooms, in the devices, in the dashboards, to really give you a summary and understanding of what you're looking at without having to go through all the numbers and all the graphs, and what are your next steps, or what should be your next steps. And that way, we're looking to basically enable people who are less technical or have a less of a deep understanding of what it requires to solve an incident or what is even causing an incident and be able to step up their game and use Xyte.
Yeah, and this is such a core part of our platform and continues to take over more and more of that core of our platform. And what I think, Johnny, what you and your team and the engineers have done such a good job here is making AI applicable, right? And not just throwing AI at everything to think that it's going to do something better for you. And I'm a big vocal proponent of this. I think if anyone follows me on LinkedIn, I just posted actually a recent blog article that I went into more detail about this, about the importance of understanding real world application of AI today, because we're experiencing problems today, versus where AI is going. And what's good about from an Xyte standpoint is we're giving you visibility into both, and we're going to talk about where we're going with this. But today, agentic remediation through guided healing is 100% hands down the number one way to leverage AI. And we give you that today. You literally log in, you can leverage our AI agent teammate to guide you through remediation of an AVIT estate right now. That's live. Self-healing and automated healing and allowing AI to not just go and do things, but potentially even think on its own and fix things on its own continues to cause more problems than not. We have tested this and we've launched this obviously, internally, and we continue to build on this. And we're going to talk about where we're going with this. But we want to make sure that our customers and our service providers and our partners have what is available best today to ensure that they are supporting their customers. And that is this right here. But of course, where this is going as well, Johnny, is this is what's built into our platform. And we're always going to have customers with unique requests, unique needs when it comes to AI. And this has been probably, in my opinion, the greatest launch that we've had in the last probably 4 months, especially since ISE. That is Xyte CLI, or Command Line Interface. Can you explain a little bit about what this is? And then I'll wrap it up of where I've seen even some of our enterprise customers doing this today within Xyte.
Sure, Andrew. So this one is a gift to the power users, if you will. It's It lets you connect Excite, or sorry, it lets you connect, yes, Excite to your other systems, essentially through the power of large language models. If you're using Claude or Codex or Gemini or ChatGPT today, and you're using it to interact with your existing internal systems, your knowledge bases, your support systems, your analytics, and you're asking yourself, how can I connect that to Xyte? How can I manage my devices within the same interface? How can I pull information from Xyte about a certain device and then go look at my runbooks that sit in my knowledge base, understand what the history of that device is based on our supports experience, and then use that to troubleshoot this device? That's what CLI lets you do. It exposes our APIs through a LLM-friendly interface for you to bring your own LLM essentially, connect it to Excite, and then be able to ask it questions about your devices and all the rest of your systems. The use case I mentioned about using your knowledge base together with your devices is one example of how it can be done. Another is to just configure things through your LLM on Excite. So we've had a customer who's configuring a new customer that they've onboarded. They're doing a lot of the Excite tenant configuration just through the CLI. Um, Anything that you could feel that you could talk to a chatbot about and just have it also have information about your devices. Now we're giving you that, and you can actually manage those devices or the interface, make those changes, and have everything happen from the comfort of your favorite LLM.
Yeah, and what's once again great is how this is applicable today. I've sat in the room with at least I'd say three or four different Fortune 500 companies that are asking me the question of saying, "Hey, we use Claude for Enterprise, we use ChatGPT Enterprise. How do you communicate with that?" And this has been one of the most awesome releases to answer that exact question. I like how you said it's kind of bring your own LLM, but it's also removing the barrier of like being limited to a UI. And this is what we're seeing across the board, not just in AVIT, remediation in RMM, but this is across all enterprise grade workflows. Is you're no longer stuck within that specific platform's UI to determine how you deliver an outcome. And this is what Xyte has done so well is that we are giving you guys the tool set to not be stuck, to unstuck yourselves, leverage us as that foundation for connections and enablement of tools, but use your engagement through the way that you engage with AI today, which is the chat through ChatGPT and Claude. And this CLI enables that for you now. Those barriers are gone. This is available today. It's amazing. I would highly recommend you guys reach out if you are an existing customer to your customer success manager or to your account executive. They can walk you through, as long as you're a premium customer, on how to access Xyte CLI. They can even walk you through how to set it up with you on that meeting so that you can be doing this right after this webinar. Amazing. Johnny, I think that was a great overview of what is live today. So when people finish this webinar, they can log in and start taking action with those features tomorrow. But let's talk a little bit about what's coming soon. And we broadened the horizon on this to be 6 months, mainly because of InfoComm. We don't want to just lead into InfoComm, show you everything that we're doing at InfoComm, and then have to do this all over again. We want to show you guys really what we're working on over the next 2 quarters. And a lot of this you guys will see in Vegas come June. And so the first thing I want to get started with is what we're calling device consolidation. And this is a major roadmap item. Honestly, for one major good thing that we're seeing is as our library of connections and control continues to expand to be the most robust in this industry, what that means is we're getting a lot of data. And when we give you options to connect equipment, we don't want to have you switch between two different panes of the single device. We need to eat our own dog food and give you one pane, one device, multiple connection methods. So, Johnny, tell us how we are focusing on device consolidation and cleanup to ensure that as we ever expand our library and ever expand our connection methods, it remains user-friendly for our customers.
So this is one of those problems that kind of comes up as we discover that as a single pane of glass, it's not enough to bring all the devices into one place, but to make the experience feel very consistent across that single pane of glass, there's more work to be done. And that's what we're hearing loud and clear from our customers, and that's why this feature is very exciting in my view. So what we're going to do here is essentially let any user decide that these two devices that we have coming in from two different clouds, or maybe one is coming from an edge or through any connection method that we have, really, it's not limited. These are actually the same device. And because they are the same device, they should not only live in the same space, they should be consolidated into a single view. They should occupy one line item in a devices table, and you should only be billed for them once. When we bring in those devices and you say these two or three or even four devices are actually the same, you're given an option to manually merge them, bringing all the different data and capabilities into one place. So as you can see here in the screenshot, we're not getting rid of anything. You can still have, if one has one command and the other has a different command, you get both. You decide which one you're working with. You can decide if you want to get incidents for one or incidents for both, in case one has richer or there's redundancy between them. So phase one of this phase approach is we're going to let you merge these devices. Now, because no one wants to sit through and manually merge hundreds, dozens or hundreds of devices, we're going to assist with deduplicating those, doing this on our side until we have an automated solution for that based on serial number, MAC address, any identifier that you can help us, that you feel confident in saying these two devices, we know that they're the same because they have an identifier that is identical, serial number being the most common example. We will use that and we will take that work away from you. Down the road, as we evolve this solution, it will be available automatically in the product, including suggestions saying, hey, we see these two devices, share a serial number. Do you want to merge them? Give you that candidate list, and then you're basically self-service.
Yeah, and one thing I want to note here is this bottom bullet. And if you're looking at this thinking, well, I'm doing this today, I don't want to be double billed. This phase delivery includes a commercial support of this phase delivery as well, meaning no matter what, Xyte will 100% commit to you. You will never double pay for devices just because you brought them in potentially via two separate methods. So our goal from an engineering and product standpoint, as Johnny mentioned, is to make this easier, more usable, cleaner, and combining telemetries into that single one so you can combine connection methods. But by no means, even today, before full rollout, will you ever be commercially responsible for paying for two instances of the same device. That is always our commitment. All right, Johnny, why don't you walk us through a little bit about what we're working on when it comes to incident rules as well?
Sure. So incident rules, I think, is also probably one of the biggest requests we've been hearing. Customers are saying it's great that all these manufacturers and all these clouds have their different rules coming in, but I manage my AV estate a bit differently, or I have different needs based on different customers. There could be rooms where, or devices where offline is not a concern. Maybe it's a device that wanders a lot between rooms, so temporary disconnect is not a concern. There could be cases where you have a device that, because of the ambient temperature in the room, maybe the ambient temperature, maybe the device temperature tends to be higher. It shouldn't share the same threshold with another identical device that sits in a cooler room. What we want to allow you to do here is basically configure your own incidents, whether you get OEM suggested incidents or you set up your own. You have a interface to decide what constitutes an incident, what severity that incident is, how it affects the room. Maybe share incidents across different devices and use templates to say, this incident is relevant for multiple device types. Um, and last but not least, rather than have a convoluted logic system that you need to set up and kind of start to understand a complex query or logic language, have AI set this up for you through a natural English interface.
Yeah, and you mentioned AI obviously at the end of supporting this in the incident rules. I think that's going to be really, really important for this. A lot of the customers I speak to, they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
But of course, AI is constantly monitoring. And so it's going to be able to offer recommendations, but also give you different ways to interact and set these incident rules. But on that topic, Johnny, why don't we quickly go into, in general, what are we doing with this AI teammate? We've kept mentioning AI throughout what's live today, but very similar to our connection methods to devices, what is in a constant state of development is also our AI teammate. So what are some of the things that I know are on your immediate roadmap with the teammate?
Sure thing. So we've already mentioned some of the enhancements that we've released over the past 6 months for the AI teammate. One thing that was missing until recently was the ability to add files to your own spaces or to manage them from a single place in Xyte. And then now that we've added that in the UI, the next thing that we're looking to add is when you add your devices to Xyte, your files to Xyte into your spaces, Teammate will have access to those as well. So if you have wiring diagrams, troubleshooting guides, notes that an engineer or anyone has ever added to a space, those will also be available to teammate to consolidate into any response that it gives you for the context that it's in. Again, a device, a room, a building, what have you. And furthermore, as we work to standardize devices and we're able to understand that even though I have this device and that device coming in from two different connectors, one coming in through XIO, the other coming in through Zoom, both are actually of the same model. And hence, any manual that's relevant for one is also relevant to the other. That information and those manuals will be available to the teammate as well.
Yeah, I think that that's such a great use case is the loading your own files, being able to kind of give it better context, which the teammate always has across the UI, but now context actually from device manuals and wiring diagrams. This is kind of doubling down on the idea of this being a true managed service platform that goes well beyond just device monitoring. And I think this files and being able to search those to the teammate, it just continues to reinforce that point. Now, Johnny, let's go on to the next topic here that's on the roadmap. And this actually is dear in my heart because I've actually spoken to a lot of recent customers about this, being able to add parity between connection method, incident, and problems to the statuses within Xyte. That's a very difficult thing to do. So we're going to get to this in 1 second. But before we get to it, I did forget, we actually have a poll that I want to bring up. So actually, can the monitor, thank you, I see the poll coming up. So we'll give you guys a minute to answer this poll before we go deeper into the device statuses. But in terms of the AI teammate itself, what we want to hear feedback from you guys is where are you seeing the extent of autonomous resolution really being applicable today within your day-to-day operations? So think things like full self-healing. Do I just want my AI teammate to run and go and fix things on its own? Am I focusing more today on guided healing, where AI will recommend steps, identify vulnerabilities, but I still approve and engage with them? Do I just want to do alert and detection? Let me handle really what's going on here and let me dive deep. Or option four, are you just simply not ready yet? Are your customers not ready yet? Is this still too kind of bleeding edge for your day-to-day operations? So we're going to give you guys a little bit of time. Please answer this poll, and then we'll move on to the device statuses. All right, a couple more seconds. Want to give everyone a chance to answer this poll. All right, perfect. Thank you guys for that feedback. So now let's jump into these device statuses and adding parity. And Johnny, why don't you walk us through what this is and adding parity and communication, then maybe I'll give an example at the end.
Wonderful. So as we've added additional connection methods originally we only had native connections, and then we added cloud to cloud. Now we have edge and some additional variants of different methods of connecting, and we really unify a lot of different technologies behind the scenes to give you a single pane of glass to manage your devices. And what we've seen is that we kind of had a parity between several statuses that we're looking to consolidate here. So I think the most important aspect, which you've correctly called out, Andrew, is that there's a difference between the connectivity status of a device and whether it is functioning or not. Can we reach it, and how is it doing? We may not be able to reach a device, but that device may be totally fine. That's not something we're reflecting today in the product, and that's something that we're working at the moment to fix. Should be going into beta in the next few weeks. So a couple of examples a couple of statuses that we're adding. Some devices we have never seen online before. That's distinct from we've seen it online and it has gone offline. So maybe it's never even come in from a third-party cloud, or someone claimed it as offline without having the intention of connecting it in the first place. So that needs to be distinguished from a regular disconnected status or an offline status. There are cases where we have lost a connection with the edge or with the cloud. There was an XIO outage a couple of weeks ago that caused a lot of devices to disconnect. The device itself may be fine, but today we're showing you those as offline, which is incorrect. So we're adding a new status called disconnected, which essentially means we don't know what's happening with the device. We just know that we can communicate with it. It also directs users to, first of all, look at the connector, whether it's a parent device, an edge, a cloud-to-cloud connector, and try to troubleshoot that rather than focus on an individual device, because that's not the root cause of the problem. Error and offline are statuses that essentially say we can communicate with the device, but the device is telling us that something is wrong. As we add custom incident definitions that you can configure, you will also be able to define what constitutes an error versus what constitutes a warning. So that's also forthcoming. Offline is we can communicate with the device, we can communicate with the connector with the edge, with whatever intermediary we have with the device. But from this individual device, we're not able to get a signal. That's how we know that the problem is likely with the device rather than with the connection. And if everything is seems to be in order, then we mark the device as okay.
Yeah, this is great. We were just talking to a couple customers about this, and QSys Reflect is an example. There's a bunch of different statuses within their cloud that we may be porting over into ours, and we want to make sure that you have the right information and knowledge about the device. Just because there is a problem with the device does not mean that it's offline. And so this is going to be a great fix, and also just add more clarity to everyone that's leveraging our platform to know just at a quick glance what is happening in my room before that meeting starts or before I have to dispatch someone to that site. All right, let's go to a very cool topic here, Johnny. And actually, we have a full dedicated webinar coming up soon on this topic, which I'm very excited for. We'll talk about that in a second. But let's talk about how we go even beyond just AV devices. I know we talked a lot about Crestron and Cisco and Shure and Biamp and all these new, and enhanced connection methods, but there's a lot more to the room than just the AV, a lot more to the building than just the AV that affects the AV, that affects the meeting, that affects you as an enterprise using our platform. And we start off with these environmental sensors. So what are we doing with this?
So as we've kind of moved up from devices to rooms, we kind of get into these broader conversations that talk about not device management, but room management and room experience management. And that begins to touch upon additional stakeholders in an organization. It could be anyone managing real estate decisions about new buildings or new floors or new rooms that are being set up, or better usage, utilization of different spaces, or maybe just the experience. And are these rooms facilitating collaboration? Are the meetings in there productive or not? I think more on that in the webinar that we have coming soon. But in terms of the data that we get from devices today, many of these devices, I think mostly VC endpoints, mostly bars of different types, they actually have a lot of this data captured as a telemetry. So as a sensor, you can understand what is the CO2 concentration in the room. Is it getting hot and stuffy, or can you use it, or is it, nice and well ventilated? How many people are in the room? How often is it being used? Is power consumption high during the day? Do people leave early, and hence the room is usually, on kind of it's active. Devices are working and consuming power, but no one's often in the room. That's a really strong basis for automation. And we pull that in today from a lot of devices. And as we add more sensor data and more drivers, clouds, what have you, we're getting more and more of that information. And we're looking at how are we going to leverage that in the future. So this is an example of what that future might look like, where you can monitor the existing or the current CO2 concentration in a room, and you can alert on thresholds. You can say if it goes above a certain threshold, and there are well-defined international standards for what those thresholds should be, you can trigger an incident initially. That can of course trigger downstream action. That could include notifying people in the room that, hey, the room has crossed the threshold and it's getting stuffy. Your meeting may not be productive. Maybe you want to open a door. Maybe you want to break for 5 minutes. And taking that a step further could even be turn on HVAC, right? As we talk about what other devices can we manage apart from AV, building management and things of the sort. Connecting that to automation can start to look like a full end-to-end guided or self-healing flow. Those are the
Exactly.
kind of things that we're looking to add.
Exactly. So we have a poll. So let's bring that up. I'll talk a little bit through this poll while people are able to interact with it. This, as you guys are answering it, this kind of conversation, this type of advancement we're making in the platform, hopefully you see is kind of where your Xyte investment is going to take you. From an enterprise user, maybe a champion of our platform, this begins to elevate the real value and ROI of the system as a whole. You're not just able to say, yeah, I'm going to fix problems faster, which is a great feature. Don't get me wrong. But this begins to get you to make better decisions, even about real estate spend. This helps you ensure your employees, your customer, is more productive based upon this information, a healthier workplace. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And because Xyte is the only agnostic AV IT platform that allows you to do this, this continues to evolve to be truly a connected device management platform that you can start making decisions as as a platform. So continue to think about that as we continue to build the platform. We wanted to talk about this as being a big focus design item as we move on and as we enhance our development through into InfoComm. All right, awesome. Thank you guys for entering that poll. Johnny, let's get to the last section here. We're just at time. So I want to talk a little bit more about that automation, about workflow extensions, because this has been a huge piece of feedback I've gotten from customers is they love the scheduling through workflows, but they want to even see more. So what are we working on here?
So here we're looking to take what we have as a V1 essentially to the next level. It's not only scheduled commands or anything working on a time trigger, but rather have the trigger be an incident or anything that indicates a problem in the room. And based on that, if something happens like device goes offline for over a certain set period, restart, wait for to see if the incident resolves, and if it's still online, escalate. So we're talking about multiple trigger options. Today is limited to time and multiple actions that the AI or the system can take based on the issue. Now, this can leverage AI, of course, with having it suggest what is being used based on the devices that you're managing, the rooms that you're managing. Again, this is where the kind of all the data that we have coming across from multiple customers, multiple devices, we understand what's more useful for different setups and different installations. So all that can be used to set up the workflow and to trigger on demand.
I can't wait for this to start phasing out into the product, Johnny. Yeah, this just reinforces my whole mantra around this guided healing mentality, right? Is the last thing that our platform should do for you is eliminate you. In fact, it should make you better at your job, make you more efficient at your job, make you more smarter at your job, and in general, just really make everything that you're managing that much easier. And that's exactly where this is going. And this is exactly what guided healing does, is it ensures a higher success rate and a higher satisfaction rate by giving you tools at your fingertips faster, easier, and more efficiently. And this new work that we're building with the workflows is exactly that. So can't wait to see this launched in the product soon. All right, that's all from a product standpoint. Before we get into the next webinars that we have coming, I did want to give everyone actually a quick update on some commercial enhancements that we have launched. It's not just product and platform. We have done some stuff from the sales and go-to-market side. Really, three main things here. One is what we've seen, which is great in the industry, is that the vast majority of vendor-specific clouds, they're offering them at no cost. And this is great to see because these should be, especially if it's vendor-specific, table stakes kind of commodity level products because you're just managing that single unit. Now, there are some platforms that do require a charge for their API so that you can link it into something like Xyte and build out that single pane of glass. What we are able to commit back to all of you and to the industry is that, once again, you never have to double pay for connection into Xyte. And there's three that I want to call out very specifically because these are three very popular, amazing manufacturers of AV equipment. That is Logitech, Crestron, and Neat. Logitech, we have built an incredible partnership with. We actually have a great webinar that's going to be on later this summer. And with LogiSync, because of our partnership, you now have the ability to access the Sync API at no cost when integrating into Xyte. All you got to do is engage with your account executive or customer success manager at Xyte, provide them your LogiSync org ID and company name, and we take care of the rest. So please reach out to your Xyte representative for that LogiSync API access. The next two that we see very popular are Crestron Xio Cloud and Neat Pulse. And if either of those clouds are the only method that you and or your client require for integration into Xyte to build that single pane of glass, Xyte will also provide a credit of whatever that API cost is off of the total Xyte license cost. So again, you and or your customer do not have to double pay. And this is included in the premium license at Xyte. I think these are amazing things that we continue to launch to support you to using Xyte and bringing single pane of glass management to become a reality. The last two I want to mention also is that we are now offering room-based pricing in our enterprise tier. I think this is a great advancement in our commercial model. We know a lot of enterprises have said, Andrew, I don't know how many devices I have, but I know I've got 1,100 rooms. What is my price for a single pane of glass through Xyte? We offer that now, so you can maintain clear budgeting moving forward. And lastly, we are now offering across all of our customers bulk purchase discounts. So for anything that you have an install where it relates to 500 plus devices and or 500 plus licenses, reach out to your account executive. We will offer bulk purchase discounts upfront with you that we can negotiate for multi-year contracts as well. So lock those in as soon as you can. Work with your account executive or customer success manager. We're happy to go through all of these commercial updates with you in more detail. And really to close us out is, what do you do after this webinar? Well, hopefully you are reaching out to us one-on-one, but maybe you guys want to continue to engage with us with some marketing opportunities and webinar opportunities. If I can ask the marketing team, if you guys can add the signups actually in the chat, we're going to give you guys the link here to access all of these. If you can't click the link, you guys also can leverage the QR code that is here. But 3 big ones on the left-hand side. First one is the optimizing workplace performance and sustainability. This is going to be with Xyte, Cisco, and the GPA, talking about our partnership and integrations on building this single pane of glass and how we are taking what Johnny was talking about when it comes to environmental sensors and being able to not just tell you what is your CO2 consumption or what is your energy usage and savings opportunity, but actually even focusing more on productivity and a healthier workplace through this Xyte Cisco GPA partnership. So that'll be Wednesday, May 6th at 11 a.m. Eastern. After that, we've got this AV Cloud Summit that we are a part of and a sponsor of with Rave. We've done this, I believe, 3 times. I think this will be our 4th AV Cloud Summit that we're a part of. This is a non-Xyte event, but one that we are a major contributor towards with Rave and Gary Kay. There's going to be featured speakers from Snowflake and SoFi and a couple other really big Fortune 500 companies that are going to be talking about what is going on in the world of cloud, what is going on in the world of AI, and what is real today when it comes to agentic operation remediation for AV IT systems. Lastly, what we have coming on in June 4th, right before InfoComm, is a great webinar with a big partner of ours at Netgear, talking a lot about AV over IP at the edge and adding AI to support both of those things. So that'll be June 4th at 12 p.m. Eastern. Again, guys, the links are in the chat. Click those, sign up. I hope to see you there, or you can use the QR code. Last but not least, InfoComm. Obviously, we're going to have a great presence there. We got a booth. We're sending a lot of people. We're going to be booth C10307. The new thing here at InfoComm, if you take anything from this webinar, is we are dedicating a section on Xyte Labs. So if you're just curious about, well, where the hell is AI going in AV, we are going to have a dedicated session with our AI lead engineer that we are bringing to InfoComm, so you can speak to them one-on-one on exactly what we're developing, what's going on in the industry when it comes to AI and management. Okay, I think that is everything. We got a lot of questions, Johnny. We're just a little bit over, but let's reserve 8 minutes to go through a couple of these questions. Let me kick off the first one here. And the question is related to around bulk credentials. Is there anything security-wise that customers should be aware of when pushing out bulk credentials or bulk anything within Xyte?
So these are credentials being used to monitor, or sorry, to access devices on your secure network. So it's internal to your network. It doesn't leave. It doesn't leave it. I'd say none that come to mind, but maybe we can deep dive on a specific conversation with specific concerns to make sure that we're covering any aspects that could be relevant.
Yeah, I think actually quite the on the other end of the spectrum is in fact bulk credential or bulk pushing of anything can actually support a lot of your security concerns. Through Xyte CLI, we have a couple customers that are using it to pull reports on out-of-date firmware on specific devices, which in turn can produce vulnerabilities from a security perspective. So you can receive that custom report through Xyte CLI and then bulk push out new firmware updates to close that gap in security issues. So I actually think a lot of this bulk stuff is going to help you address security vulnerabilities and even create some. All right, Johnny, we've got a couple questions on the differences between like a cloud-to-cloud connection and an edge connection. Maybe give a high-level overview, and then we can get into the details afterwards.
Sure. So, edge a cloud connection is essentially we bring in your devices through an existing edge. So any configuration, device name, space hierarchies, anything you already have set up there and is accessible through APIs, we will pull into Xyte, and you're essentially seeing a copy of what you already have in the other cloud. In Xyte, where it's easier to combine with additional clouds that you have coming in. The biggest limitation is that you're limited usually to one manufacturer, or if you're talking about Zoom, then you have multiple manufacturers potentially, but you're still limited. There are many things that don't have network connectivity, many things that there is no good cloud support for. Those you need to bring in through another way, and that is where the Edge comes in. Edge is an infinitely extensible platform that lets us develop drivers to support any AV or API-based devices that you have or you need connected and that you're able to put on the network. We have much more, usually those APIs, the on-device APIs are much more flexible and let us pull in much richer data than you may get through the cloud. Oftentimes, cloud manufacturers want to keep these semi-proprietary, so not everything is exposed. Sometimes it's more of a timeline issue that they just need to kind of ramp up. Um, there's also the question of commercial model. Edge is entirely through Xyte. Cloud to cloud may require a license to another cloud, but as Andrew mentioned, we have commercial models that help you manage that. Those are essentially the differences between the two.
And I want to take it one level deeper too, because we had a couple questions about it, about like, is cloud better? Is driver better? In general, it depends. Unfortunately, that is the answer. It does depend. But the good news is that we give you guys options to connect based upon how you have it currently set up or your customer wants the connection into the device. And the best thing I can recommend is you can reach out to us and we can go very detailed into this is what we get through. I think the question was around Control Hub and Lens were the two ones. This is what we get via Control Hub versus a direct Cisco driver. This is what we get via Lens versus a direct Poly driver. We are happy to provide that to you. If you do want to look for some of this information on your own, we do our best to publish a lot of this information very, very often on docs.xyte.io. So if the team, Stone or Julie, if you guys can add that link here in the chat, I think it's a great resource. You guys can leverage that to search what the connections are within Xyte and what's available. But always we'll be able to tell you if you want to reach out to us, you don't see something on there. Don't assume it's not available. We can tell you maybe it's available in alpha, beta, or just hasn't been updated on the site just yet. All right, thank you, Johnny. We got another couple questions. Question here is the Xyte CLI available today?
I actually don't see that one, but yes, Xyte CLI is available today. Andrew, is there a certain tier that a customer needs to be on to access CLI?
Yeah, so Xyte CLI is available today for our premium license. So there, if you guys recall, there is a standard and a premium tier for access within Xyte. Xyte CLI is available within that premium tier. All right, Johnny, we got another question here asking about drivers. They said, you guys talked about new drivers and connections in the what's available now. They didn't see us talk about anything in our roadmap section, but as you and I know, this is like the ever ongoing development cycle, like with AI. Can you give someone a little bit more insight into roadmap with drivers and connections?
Yes, let me take a look back at the slide. So I think on the connector side, there are a few clouds that we're still missing. Yealink is something that's forthcoming as well, probably in the second half of this year. Short Cloud, as mentioned, which should be live as it launches for Infocom. On the connector side, currently we're working on enhancements to Crestron Series 4. We're working on additional additional commands for Netgear for M4 250 series, I think. Individual port rebooting, which was a big request from a lot of customers. Trying to think of one more off the top of my head. There's a whole backlog that's in the works. As we were talking on the webinar, I got two updates from new drivers that are soon to be released from the dev team. So one more that comes to mind, I think, was the UC engine. If we can pull information about
Yes.
the status for Zoom, Teams, the major conferencing platforms, if those are enhancements the customers have really been looking for. So we're working on those.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a major one to mention. One is that we every day we are coming out with and working on new connections and enhancing existing ones, right? Because they don't just stay static, as I'm sure you can imagine. So
One
that's the
more that
biggest.
just came up on the list. Nick, thank you for the question. Yes, bright sign commands. We're looking into the availability of reboot and firmware upgrades. We know that's important for you. So we're also looking at those, and as soon as I have a timeline update, we'll be sure to let you know.
Awesome. All right, I think, and the last question I saw in here, Johnny, and then I think we got to wrap. We're right at time. Was just around offering a question about where they can access pricing information. Guys, it is all on our website. You can go to the pricing tab. Everything MSRP is very visible for anyone. We want to be as transparent as possible. We also added a link in the chat. We also added links to our CLI. If you want to find more information about CLI, you guys can click that as well. And of course, the doc site. But Johnny, with that, we are at time. I think we got through the vast majority of questions. First off, Johnny, thank you for joining us. This was awesome to go through what is available now and what's coming next. I know I'm excited for InfoComm to actually see a lot of this in action, not just what was on the roadmap, but also dive deeper into what has been made available because there's just so many tools at our fingertips. So thank you, Johnny. And thank you to the audience for joining us today. This has been our largest webinar to date, which is great to see. We've gotten more and more of you guys joining us quarter after quarter to understand what we're working on and what's coming next. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I appreciate the engagement. Please do click those links to sign up for a lot of those upcoming webinars or those QR codes that allowed you to engage with us. We want to work with you. Our emails are right here on this page, johnny@xyte.ai and andrew@xyte.ai. We really hope to hear from you guys after this webinar. But with that, thank you and have a great rest of your day. We can't wait to work with you guys soon.